Okay, for today we are looking at section 6.4, which is on employee benefits. So the first part of this section, we're going to kind of just talk through some of the employee benefits. Not a lot of notes for you to take here in the beginning, but it is important information and a lot of vocab that we're going to need to know. Then we're going to look at calculating the value of certain employee benefits based on certain scenarios. So first thing, what are the benefits of a job? Employee benefits can range quite greatly depending on the job. So there are value-added options that an employer can choose to offer to employees. So types of benefits, and again, not all jobs have all benefits, but there is insurance. So hopefully you end up with a job that does offer you insurance, health insurance, life insurance, and disability insurance. Paid vacation time or paid sick time. This is also known as PTO, which is paid time off. So it's PTO. So depending on your job, you might have vacation time or sick time that you get paid to be off work. Paid holiday time. So a lot of jobs, I know, will pay you when you're off on Christmas or like New Year's or Easter or things like that. Retirement plans and a pension. A lot of employers will pay into your retirement plan. Sometimes it's up to like matching how much you put in, but that's something you always want to kind of pay attention to when you get a new job. Some jobs have stock ownership plans. I know I have a friend who works at a company that he gets stock options, and he makes buku bucks just on his stocks every year. It's nothing he actually pays for, it's just something that's an added bonus for his job. Also childcare leave. Some places they will just, pay you for when you leave, like when you have a baby. Other places make you use your actual sick time. I know as a teacher, when I had kids, I actually depleted all of my sick time by the third child. And I'm slowly building that back up. But I did get paid when I was off. I just had to use all my sick time to do that. Benefits are usually offered to full-time employees. Sometimes you can find a job that offers it to part-time, but it's usually required a full-time employee. And the benefits provided vary based on the job and employer. So just because you see one job offers you everything that you want, it doesn't mean that that same job, even with a different company, would offer you the same thing. So make sure when you're getting a job that you're actually asking these questions about what type of benefits there are to working at that company. So some different vocab that we need to know. So the first one is family health care. So at this point, if you've not already done so, make sure your notes are out in front of you and make sure you're filling in your vocab. A family health care plan covers all the members in your immediate family. Like my family, we have family health care underneath my husband's insurance through his employer, and that covers both myself and my husband and all three of our kids. If you are single, you can have an individual health care. It's cheaper because it's only covering one person, but it only covers the employee. Now, some jobs, even if you are married, depending on where they work, sometimes they require husband and wife to carry their own separate insurance if it's offered to their, your spouse. So depending on the job, thankfully for me, my husband's company does not require that, so I get to be on his because he has a better insurance plan. The next one is a premium. Premium is the cost you pay each month for insurance. So insurance is not free. You do have to pay for that. Usually your employer will cover a big chunk of that. So you need to kind of, again, ask those questions when you get a new job. But what you pay every month is referred to as the premium. Deductible is the next vocab term. That is the amount paid before your plan will cover your care beyond essential benefits. Once this preset amount is reached, the plan will pay 100% of the charge. So in other words, in a deductible, let's say you're in a car accident, you're at the hospital, you're getting all these things done. Deductible is like, it's a set amount. So like, I know like for our insurance, our deductible is, I think it's $2,800, so $2,800. So what that means is when you go in, you're in a car accident, you have all these bills piling up. The first $2,800 I have to pay out of pocket. So I have to pay for the $2,800, but then anything beyond $2,800 my insurance will pick up and pay for all of it. So this is one of those things, like some people, as they're nearing the end of the year, because at the end of the year that kind of resets, right, and starts over. So some people, if they're like, okay, I already hit my deductible, like my 2,800, like in my example, I already hit enough bills that I've paid 2,800, so my insurance then will cover everything else 100%. They'll like schedule those surgeries they've been putting off because they're like, I already hit my deductible. That means my surgery's free. My insurance will cover all of it. So you see a lot of times towards the end of the year, everybody's kind of rushing to get in all these medical procedures, x-rays done, blood work taken, because they've hit their deductibles. So therefore they're not paying for it anymore. But if you would wait until that calendar year, January 1st starts over, your deductible resets and you have to pay that 2,800 again before your insurance will pay anything. So you want to make sure that you're kind of watching where you are on that deductible. That way you can kind of plan for those things. Okay, next is a copay. It is a flat fee that you pay whenever care is provided. It does count towards your deductible. Like I know if you have to take the kids to the doctor. So I take my kids to the doctor, if they're sick, I take them there. I have to pay $10 out of pocket every time I go. Now that's all I pay right off the start. I pay $10 right there that day at the doctor's office. That goes towards my deductible, right? My 2,800. You know, and 2,800 again is mine. They vary greatly. I know my sister-in-law, her deductible I think is 5,000. So it just depends on your insurance. But that is just something you know you're going to have to pay out of pocket that day at the doctor's office. And the last one on here is co-insurance. It's a percent of the charge of care that you pay. It counts towards your deductible. Now this is not one that I personally have. I don't have co-insurance. But co-insurance is one where you have to pay just a percentage of whatever your bill is. So you might have like an 80-20 plan. An 80-20 plan is one where my insurance pays 80% of whatever the bill is, and I always pay 20%. So again, there's so many different types of insurance. You just have to make sure you're asking those questions. Right? So what types of health insurance plans? So that's all the vocab about all plans. But the next one is the different types. The first one is a health maintenance organization. It's an HMO, is what they're always referred to. Health services delivered through a network of providers or facilities. You pay premiums, a deductible, co-pays, and or co-insurance. So what this means is you have a list of providers, and you have to go to a doctor on that list, otherwise they're not paying for it. Now they have gotten better over the years, that those lists are usually a lot bigger than they used to be. But if you go to certain doctors that you really like, you better make sure they're on the list. If you go to a doctor that is not on that list of providers, then they will not pay anything. Okay, so you have to make sure that you are going to a doctor on that list. So there's pros and cons to HMOs. So a pro, preventative care is usually free. So if you're going in, like I take my kids in for their well visits, they go in, every year for a well visit with the doctor. That's free. I don't pay anything for that. It has the least amount of paperwork compared to other plans, which is always a good thing. But some negatives, least freedom in choosing healthcare provider. Again, if you don't care what doctor you go to, then that's not really a big deal. But if you like certain doctors, you want to make sure they're on that list. It's often times you need a referral to go see a specialist. That can be kind of a negative. You need your actual family doctor to give you permission, a referral to see like a specialist for something else. And you can only see doctors in your network. Like I said, otherwise you got to pay the full bill. So again, make sure if you have this plan that your doctor that you're going to is on the list. The next type is a PPO, a preferred provider organization. Health services delivered through a network of providers or facilities. Again, you pay premiums, a deductible, co-pays, or co-insurance. That's just pretty normal. For this type, preventative care also is usually free. It has moderate freedom in choosing your healthcare provider. Like I know mine, this is the type of insurance that my husband and I have. And we were always told if the doctor we want to go to is not on the list, then just let them know and they'll make sure they get their name put on the list. So they're pretty easy to work with. And you don't need referrals to see a specialist. If I want to go see a specialist for something going on with me, I do not need my family doctor to refer me to that person. There's a little more paperwork compared to other plans. if you see an out-of-network provider. But again, if you can make sure everyone you see is on that bigger list of doctors, then you're fine. But it does have the highest out-of-pocket cost if you see the doctors out-of-network. So again, make sure you're seeing doctors in your network, doctors on that list. All right, and then there's a high deductible health plan, an HDHP. This is where you pay higher out-of-pocket cost, but you have lower premiums. So in other words, you don't pay very much per month to have your insurance, but when you go to the doctor, your deductible is going to be huge. Like you might be $7,000 before your insurance picks up anything. So for a plan like this, you want to make this is good for people who don't have a history of a lot of health problems, and you're like, I'm probably never going to go to the doctor anyway. So this would allow you to not pay very much per month. And then if you don't go to the doctor, you're not out that much money. But if you do end up going to the doctor, you're going to pay more before your insurance picks it up. Okay. So again, preventative care is usually free. That's pretty true with most plans. Lower premium, so you don't pay as much per month. They often pair this with a health savings account, which is when money is put directly into your a special account that's only allowed to be used for doctor appointments, prescription medicines and stuff, and you do not get taxed on that money, which is really nice. Pro or con, you're in control of more. You have the freedom to shop around to see what doctors you want, but then there's more to keep track of when you're doing that. A con deductible is at least $1,300 for individual and $2,600 for a family. But it could be, notice, $13,100 for a family. It could reach levels up to that. So you just got to be careful. Are you someone that goes to the doctor a lot? Or are you a relatively pretty healthy person that you're like, I don't really need to go to the doctor? When I was younger, I will tell you, I had a plan like this. It worked out fine for me because I didn't go to the doctor very often. But now that I'm older and, by the time I had my third baby, my body decided to fall apart. So now I go to the doctor more often. This type of plan is not good for me anymore because I go to the doctor so much. So that's why we have one that we pay higher premiums per month. But then when I go to the doctor, I don't pay anything. So it all kind of depends on where you are in your life, what kind of insurance you think you might need. Okay, so required benefits, unemployment insurance. This is a government program that offers benefits to eligible employees who, through no fault of their own, have become unemployed. So this is when workers will still receive temporary assistance and must be looking for employment. So this is how you're getting paid, right? If you lose your job, right now with the pandemic, a lot of people are going through where they're on, they need they're unemployed. So they need the unemployment checks is what they always refer to them as. So this is where you get that temporary assistance. The worker will receive a percentage of what they earned at their job. So you will not earn your full pay. You get a percentage or a base of whatever it was. Workers' compensation, that is a program offered to employees who are injured while they're working at their job. So if you get hurt while you're at work, then it's not your insurance always picking that up. You get workers' compensation where your employer will pay for your medical bills because you were hurt on the job. All right, so let's go ahead and put some of this into practice. So Alan has worked for a printing company for a little over 4 years. He now makes $54,080 per year. Okay, so we know how much he makes per year. And we know he's worked for 4 years. Okay, so when he was hired, he was told that he had 5 days of paid vacation time. All right, so he started off day 1, you get 5 days of vacation. For each year that he worked at the company, he would gain another 2 days of paid vacation. So a maximum of 20. So you can't ever have more than 20 days, but you can keep earning until you get to the 20 days. So how many paid vacation days does he have now at the end of 4 years, and how much money will he earn while he is on vacation? So we have a 2-part question. So first we need to figure out how many days does he now have of paid vacation. Well, if we go back in the problem, we were told that he had 5 days right away. So he started with 5 on day 1, right? Got the job, you have 5 days. So that's like equal to like a 1 week, right? Because you have 5 work days in a week. So he has 5 days of paid vacation, and he gains 2 days per year that he works. So 2 times how many years he's worked there. And it wants to know at the end of 4 years. Right? So the 5 that he started with, plus 2 for every 4 years that he works. So we have 5 plus 8. So he now has 13 days of vacation. All right, now that we know how many days, maybe we should label this so I remember what it is. So he has 13 days of paid vacation. It wants to know then, the second part was how much money will he earn while he's on vacation? Well, he earns money, right? So we know how much he makes per year. So we're going to take how much he makes per year and change that to how much he makes per day. Well, how many days are in a year? We know there are 365 days in a year. So we'll take 54,080, divide that by 365, and he makes $148. And if we round that to the nearest cent, it is 16 cents. And that's how much he makes per day. Right? Just taking how much he makes for the year, divide by days, that's how much he makes per day. Okay, so he now has 13 days of vacation. So we'll have to take 13 times 148.16. Now, I want to caution you. Everybody listen up at this point. When you are typing this in, if you are like most people, you have your answer still in your calculator from the previous, right? Where you did 54,080 divided by 365. So you had gotten 148 point, and it's like 16, and that number keeps going, right? 16438, blah, 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 blah. You cannot leave all of those digits in your calculator. Since we rounded to 148.16 per day, you have to use just 148.16. So do not try to just type all of this in the calculator at once, or you're going to get wrong answers. Okay, so we're going to take 13 days times 148.16, only to the nearest cent, so 0.16. So we will get $1,926.08. That is how much he will make for all 13 days of vacation time. Okay, so again, anytime you're doing math with the calculator and we're talking about money and it's giving you a bunch of decimal digits, round that to the nearest cent, right, 2 digits, but then do not use all of those digits in your next calculation. Always retype that in with the answer that you got rounded to the nearest cent. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Frida's employer offers her family health care as an employee benefit. Frida must contribute 12% of the cost, and her employer will cover the rest. So Frida gets paid on a bi-weekly basis. We know bi-weekly means she gets paid 26 times per year. If it costs $19,175 total a year for Frida's health care, how much does Frida pay per paycheck for her portion of the cost? So for a problem like this, we know the total, right? That's all together. So $19,175 is how much her health care costs. But she doesn't pay all of it. It said that she only pays 12%. So we're going to multiply by 0.12, right? 12% change to a decimal, just divide by 100. This will tell us how much Frida actually pays. So 19,175 times 0.12 is $2,301. This is Frida's share. That's her share for the year. Now the question asked, how much does Frida pay per paycheck? Well, she gets paid 26 times per year. So we're going to take how much her cost is per year, divide that by 26, and we will find that it will cost Frida $88.50 per paycheck for her insurance. Right? The $23.01, that's how much she has to pay per year. Divide that by her 26, because that's how many times she gets paid. So she pays $88.50 per paycheck. Okay, trying another one similar. At Richardson Manufacturing Company, there are two factors that determine the cost of health care. If an employee makes less than $55,000 per year, so less than 55, he pays 5% of the total cost for individual coverage and 10% for family coverage. If an employee makes at least $55,000, so $55,000 or more per year, individual coverage is 8% of the total cost of health care, and family coverage is 15%. So obviously, if you have a family, you pay more because your insurance covers more people. So Ariel is an office assistant at Richardson. She makes $47,700 per year. So this is what she makes. So we have to kind of come back up to the problem. Where does she fall? And she falls in the less than 55,000 category. Therefore, she's either going to be 5% or 10%. So as we keep reading, she has individual health care. Individual is 5%. Okay? So 5% of the total cost for individual, right? So the total cost of Ariel's health care is $14,400. How much does Ariel contribute per year, and how much does her employer contribute per year? So we are talking just about for the year. The previous problem we talked about per paycheck. This one just wants for the year. Okay, so going back to what we know. So it costs altogether $14,400. But we know Ariel does not pay all of that, right? She only has to pay 5%, right? We had found 5% was what it was for individual. So we'll multiply that by 0.05, which is our 5%, to find out that Ariel pays $720 per year. And that was Ariel. So the question again says, how much does Ariel contribute per year? $720. And how much does her employer contribute? Well, her employer is going to pick up the rest, right? So if the total cost is $14,400 and Ariel pays $720, that means her employer picks up the rest, which is $13,680 per year, and that's what her employer pays. So be careful. A lot of these questions will ask you kind of two-part questions. Make sure you're answering both. All right, let's try the next problem. The top part is exactly the same. Notice then we have part B. So part B, Catherine is a department manager at Richardson. Her annual salary is $68,300. So that means she makes at least $55,000, right? She makes $55,000 or more. It says she has family health care, and family coverage is 15%. So that's the part we needed from the top. The total cost of Catherine's health care is $15,200. So $15,200, but she doesn't pay all of that. She pays, again, 15%. So we're going to multiply by 0.15 to find out how much she actually pays per year, which is $2,280 per year for Catherine. Okay? Now, be careful when you're reading here, though. How much does Catherine contribute per month? So it had a part B kind of to this, right? It didn't want per year. How much does she pay per month? So we'll just need to take how much she pays per year and divide by 12, because there's 12 months in a year. So Catherine pays $190 per month. That's Catherine. Now, again, go back to your question. How much does Catherine contribute per month? Done. How much does her employer contribute per month? Okay, well, we know her total cost is $15,200. and she contributes $22.80 per year. So that means her employer is contributing $12,920 per year, and that's the employer. The question again asked, well, how much does her employer contribute per month? So we'll again have to take the employers, divide that by 12 to change per month, and it would be $1,076.67 per month, and that was the employer. Okay, so again, be careful of the rounding as you're looking at that. That was 0.6 repeating, so it'd be 67 cents. All right, so moving right along. Number 4. Marina is the director of the Washington Performing Arts Center. Her employer offers a pension. So again, a pension is like how much money you're going to make after you retire. So Marina's employer uses a formula to calculate the pension. Marina is planning on retiring at the end of this year after 25 years of employment. Okay, so she's worked 25 years. A retiring employee receives 1.5% of his or her average salary for the last 5 years of employment, multiplied by the number of years worked. All right, so they told you right there how to find this, okay? And it says Marina would receive this amount each year until her death. So until you die, that's how much you'll be paid from your employer even after you retire. So her salary is for the last 5 years, because it says the average salary of the last 5 years. So we will have to find the average. Remember, average is when you add them all up and divide by how many you had. So we're going to take the 88,900 plus 92,200 plus 96,000 plus 98,000 plus 102,000. Take all of that, divide that by 5. Right, that is the average of her top 5 years of working. So average all of that together, and the average would be $95,420. Okay, so that is how average those last 5 years. So if we come back up to how this is worded up here, it says a retiring employee receives 1.5% of the average salary. So I need to multiply this then by 0.015. That is 1.5%. 1.5 divided by 100 is where that number came from. So then we multiply that by the 1.5%, and we get $1,431.30. So go back up to the problem, and let's keep reading. We get 1.5% of his or her average salary for the last 5 years of employment, multiplied by the number of years worked. Well, how many years has she worked? It says 25 years. So we're going to multiply this by 25 to find out how much she'll get per year after she retires. And if we multiply that by 25, we get $35,782.50. So that is how much money that she will make after she retires in her pension from her job. All right, so last question. This is probably the trickiest one just because of how it is worded and how the information is given to you. Okay, so pay close attention. This type of problem will come back again, so hopefully make a note to yourself so we don't forget. So number 5, in Reese's state, the weekly unemployment compensation is 60% of the 26-week average for the 2 highest salaried quarters. A quarter is 3 consecutive months. So for July, August, and September, he earned a total of $9,024. October, November, December, he earned a total of $9,800. Determine Reese's unemployment compensation. All right, So first, let's kind of go back and talk about what it was talking about. So it says that he gets 60% of whatever the 26-week average is, right? So knowing that, we have to find out what is the 26-week average, and then we can find 60% of that. Okay, so we're not getting the full amount of money once you retire or once you're on unemployment. So we have the two values, so we're going to average those, right? So 9,024 plus 9,800. We're going to add those together and divide by, and this is where most people tell me to. We are not dividing by 2. Do you hear me? Not. Because this is a 26-week average. Well, stop and think. Before we even get into this, we're going to divide this by 26, and let me explain why. You were given the value of how much they made for July, August, September, October, November, and December. How many months did I just list off? Right? July, August, September, October, November, December. We were given 6 months worth of salaries. So since we had 6 months worth, then 6 months is half a year. Hopefully you guys are following that logic. 6 months is half a year. And then how long is 26 weeks? Well, there's 52 weeks per year. So half a year is 26 weeks. Hopefully that makes sense to you there, right? We were given 6 months. We have October, November, December, there's July, August, September. So we had all of those totaled up for us. They were just given to us as 2 3-month sets as opposed to each individual month. And we are talking about a 26-week average. So, in other words, when you come to a problem like this, how are you going to know to divide by 26 instead of like 2 or like we divided by 5 in the last one? If it tells you that it has a 26-week average, you're going to divide by 26. Okay, you'll see problems like this again where they'll give you 6 months listed. So we are dividing by 26 because that is 26 weeks altogether. All right, so if we average these, we'll do 9,024 plus 9,800 and then divide that by 26 and we get $724. Now, he does not get $724 per month. He's going to get 60% of that. So even less. So then we're going to multiply this by 0.60 or 60% to find out that he is only going to get $434.40 per month for unemployment. So in other words, he needs to be looking for a job as fast as he can so he can make more money, okay? You do not make all of your money per month on unemployment. You only get a percentage. Whatever state he's living in, that percentage is 60% of the average. So even if like you're making more now when you went on unemployment, but a few months ago you were making less, that's going to bring down your average, and then you only get a percentage of that. So you're going to be making significantly less money on unemployment than if you were actually working a job. All right, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, the assignment is posted and it was given to you. Let me know if you have any questions.